And good morning. Welcome to WJOB AM 1230 on your radio dial, 104.7 on the FM dial. It's the City of East Chicago show. I'm Verlie Suggs. My co-host is Steve Segura. He's the Director of Multimedia for the City of East Chicago. And we have with us two special guests. We have Marino Solorio. He is the Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of East Chicago. And we have Milton Reed. He's a consultant with Global Consulting Solutions. He's the principal of that business, and he does great work working with the City of East Chicago. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
All gentlemen today. We're going to start out with Steve, and of course, he's going to give us a rundown of some of the wonderful things happening in the City of East Chicago.
Turn me on. There we go. I think there we go. Next, on the 31st of January, there's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony at City Hall for the new fiber network that's happening in East Chicago. We were the first city to complete this fiber ring, and that will be at 4:30 in the afternoon upstairs in the council chambers. These next couple days will be kind of cold, and we will be opening up some warming shelters. I think the one we're opening up is Bessie Owens Center, and that will be from 7 p.m. at night till 7 a.m. in the morning. There'll be an announcement forthcoming on ECTV on our Facebook page to make sure all the information I gave you is correct. There's another big program happening in East Chicago, and that is a mandatory water meter replacement program. So if you're a homeowner or a landlord, you need to call to get your water meter replaced by calling 1-888-252-1521, or you can do it online at www.mesimpson.com. And you just enter key number 46115. Now, that program started recently, and a lot of homeowners are, of course, signing up. If you don't sign up, they will cut your water off. It is important that you do it because it is a mandatory program. It's a really cool thing because they will be giving you, I think, an app in the future so you can kind of control and monitor your water usage. If you have a leak, it'll tell you if you got a leak. It's really cool. I'm not sure if you could pay your bill online with it yet, but I know they're integrating a lot of that stuff. So that's about all I have.
Wow, Steve, usually there's so many more things to talk about, but I'm sure Marino and Milton have a lot more to share.
Definitely.
Milton, I know you have a special announcement you want to make today. Do you want to save it to the end of the show or do it now?
Well, we might as well get it out the way since it is.
Well, let's definitely do that now.
Well, this broadcast today would be quite different if it wasn't for this lady who I'd like to acknowledge. My mother, Maxine Reed, has hit her 84th birthday today. And so I want to just say, Mom, we love you. We love you. And thank you for all you've done.
I'm sure she loves you telling her age over the radio as well.
Well, she's proud of a retired school teacher from East Chicago school system, mother in the church. And we just, again, want to say happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Reed. Definitely.
All right.
You have a wonderful family.
Thank you.
So we're going to go to Marino and tell us, Marino, what's going on with economic development and planning in the City of East Chicago?
So the city recently is getting really aggressive with the properties that they own. And so we're getting, a lot of these properties appraised, getting ready for development. And so we've put out signs now in these vacant parcels that signify we're ready, for developers to come in and, build. We have been getting a lot of hits from different businesses. There are some businesses which will be forthcoming if the deal goes through that are moving from Illinois to Indiana. That's a big thing right now that we're trying to capitalize on. Yesterday, actually, we had an interesting meeting about how do we capitalize on the businesses moving along with the workers moving into the city also, with our homeowner down payment assistance program. And so how do we merge that gap so that when people are moving from Illinois and it's too far to commute, here's a place that you can actually live in now, ready for you to build a home, and you can get down payment assistance to do that, and you'll work right in the same spot. So once we get those deals finalized, we'll let everyone know.
So we can't say anything about some planned model homes that may be going up in certain areas, or are we allowed to discuss that?
Right now, the city is in preparation. So some of this land that's available, specifically, we can talk about Prairie Crossing. Prairie Park is one of the most affluent parts of the city. It's a lot of business people live in that corridor. House values there range anywhere between 150 to 300,000. So, and it's right by the St. Catherine's, the Block Stadium, different Washington Park. So just kind of staples in the community. And so there is a piece of property that might hold anywhere between 14 to 18 lots that the city is looking for an interested developer that would like to develop that property for home ownership. And along with that is our down payment assistance. So anyone that does either buy a lot if it's purchased through lots, or if a developer builds, the homeowner or the potential homeowner can qualify for that $25,000 down payment. And if they work for the city, that's $30,000. So that's a good way to kind of merge resources and programs with kind of potential development.
Most definitely. Yeah. Not only does it increase your tax base, it provides jobs, but this is much needed in the community. One thing that East Chicago was always known for was the fact that it was landlocked, but now you're finding parcels to develop, and that's a great thing.
Yes, we, as Marino mentioned, we had a big meeting yesterday with somewhat of an all-hands meeting, and we had a real estate professional in with us to say, hey, we are now ready to rewrite our narrative about what's going on in East Chicago. And I've mentioned every time I'm on here about the stages of revitalization, where we've cleared out just about a little bit of everything that we cleared out, and now we are in the build stage. And it's very, very exciting. It's almost like, I say it again, that, we're spending money. We're making good investment. We're making long-term plans for this Prairie Crossing. The city has engaged a civil engineer is where it starts. We've talked to developers, and we're going to take our time and figure out the way to do it right. May we just offer lots with the program saying, hey, this is the amount of time that you have to build. These are some parameters we'd like for you to see, and duplicate that program through that is economic development as well as just doing it that way. We may have a developer that has the model home. So there are a number of options, a number of ways we can finance this, but I point that it's not just a thought. It is real. It is invested. We have a civil engineer on board. And so just stay tuned. It's going to be coming out with a full program here in the spring, but we're going to do it as quickly as we can do it well.
Well, definitely City on the Move definitely tells what's going on in the city of East Chicago right now. How does Global Consulting Solutions, what role do you play?
Well, let me see. I'm everything, the plumber, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, as they say. So I do a variety of things for the city. And one of my primary responsibilities is I project manage the major capital improvement projects. And I have managed the RDA grant funds as well. And one project I'd like to speak about and give an update on it is the Fitzsimmons building. On 3700 block of Main Street, we have putting up a $4 million mixed residential and commercial building. The building will have 7 units, 4 condo units, and 3 townhome style units. And let me tell you, these units are beautiful. There's not packed in tight with, like, say, 1,100 square feet or 900 square feet. These are family ready to go. Very 1,900 beautiful. We're sparing nothing because, again, we deserve quality, quantity, and things just like everyone else. This property sits across from $1 Million Plaza and Park. Beautification, it's very clean. And another thing that you see in the area, Marino can speak to this as well, is that look up and down our Main Street. Our facade improvement program has really been taken off. We are offering 80% in this district, right here in this district.
That's unheard of.
80% of the facade, and we're getting everything from tuck pointing, awnings, new windows, new doors, lighting. I mean, and it is really looking beautiful down there, and we're going building by building. Marching down building by building. The vendors, the contractors, everyone is really buying. It's how many did we approve last night, Marino? New facade.
3.
There were 3 just in last night's meeting that got the formal approval to move forward, and that's up to $25,000. So we've had some buildings that have been sitting here from years. When I was a child, no real improvements, but now they're coming in, and we're giving you $25,000. Up to $25,000, and people are taking advantage of it. Yeah, they really are.
Well, let me ask you this, because it's great all the money's going into the community, into the harbor, but it seems like we still have that empty grocery store, and also the restaurant. There, we lost D&B, Benita's restaurant, and So what are you doing to bring like coffee shops and the type of things that people who are buying a condo will be looking for?
Well, I think both of us can answer that. I want to hear Marino's answer. I'm going to give you half of the picture, and I'll let
I want Marino to bring in the store that's name is almost like his, Mariano's.
Yeah, I know you said that before.
Right.
But so here's the thing. It's a combination. When you revitalize areas, you also have to provide the people and the housing. So again, part of this Fitzsimmons is we'll have 7 families. And if you just say modestly 7 times 4, that's 28 individuals that would need those restaurant stores and grocery stores just in this one location. If you look at the other senior housing that's coming down, so as you're creating the businesses, you have to be able to tell them the story of what the population will be. So we're working diligently on the population side. There will be the senior building has 208 units, and then
there's another 28 unit multi mixed use complex coming up.
So this is close to 250 units coming in a half a mile area. And so we have been diligently talking to the businesses about the grocery stores and about the restaurants, but sometimes the need becomes just so great based upon the population. And this is, again, a part of revitalization.
I mean, there has to be a demand, clearly. And so successful downtowns have a good balance between the businesses, and they have a good balance between residential. And so you have to have residential to make successful downtowns. So there's a lot of things going on that we can't necessarily speak of right now because we don't want the deals to kind of go.
So you're in negotiations,
right? So we are talking in reference to what you just signified, where the vacant grocery store is. But the market is, to a certain degree, is telling us, when we approach like Aldi and, the big players, it's just saturated. It's too saturated. These businesses are too close together. Aldi flat out said, that there's, 2 locations that if they built this one there, it would be tapping into the customers that go there already.
That's so interesting because, and not to debate this so much, but there is no Aldi's in East Chicago. And that's basically a food desert in that area because there are no grocery stores. That would be a prime location for them. They have 2 of them, one in Maryville and one in Crown Point, less than 4 miles apart. Their argument is flawed. That's just my opinion.
And so,
and we do point those things out, but at the same time, you want somebody that wants to be there.
Exactly.
Well. I mean, and so there are many in brokering the deal. There are many fine things. You can look at parking. You can look at branding. You can look at official rules that have been bent for other communities. And so we don't really focus on that too much. But like Marino said, we're in conversations like go live right now, and we know the problem, but I don't want you to think too that it's a total food desert because we have 2 very well thriving. They're not as big as what you would see in the Strack and Van Tills, but right here in the harbor section, within 2 blocks of where you're talking about, you can get any line of meat product, very fresh, very healthy. You can get your milk
right on Broadway.
Yes, on Broadway. And there's another one on Main Street. So but again, we're
more
never
like neighborhood store type.
Okay.
There is one that's a little more like a supermarket.
Right, the little market. It used to be an Applewood Farms originally.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
yeah,
I understand.
So,
right.
but we're not going to stop. And these things cycle. These things rotate. Marino, I mean, again, you have Fresenius opening right there on Main Street.
So I mean, there's definitely different developments outside of just attracting businesses. We also want to rebuild the infrastructure, and they did that maybe 3-4 years ago when they rebuilt Main Street and Broadway, in preparation for anyone that's coming in to want to rebuild, the building stock. And so we actually closed the deal last year with Fresenius to purchase a property that we made profit on selling it, but outside of that, they built a $2 to $3 million building. When it's all said and done with soft costs and architectural renderings and all that stuff, that's a $5 million investment on a piece of property that many people call desolate. And, it was an old building where they used to do mechanic work.
Right.
And it sat for years.
And so now you look at, it's right next to Family Dollar. That's where Fresenius is going to be. It's a beautiful building that they built. And so we're hoping to do a ribbon cutting, I think, the beginning of February with them. And so that goes to the testament of, the mayor's vision of there's these properties, there's these vacant buildings. How how do we control what goes in it? How do we help guide development? And so that's been kind of strategic, especially in the harbor. And we're kind of now funneling that to the rest of the city to get aggressive in terms of, when these buildings become desolate, okay, who's the owner? What's going on? And
yes, and we're taking the same approach, and I will echo that the mayor really has given us the marching orders from his vision, even as Phineas. He told us, it was about 2.5 years ago, he says, Milton, Marino, I'm tired of this city. I want you guys to go out and make sure you get a good deal and we make something happen here. He's given us the same marching orders for the Old County Market. Wait and see what we're doing. We're having a conversation now about very aggressive up and down Chicago Avenue. We have some empty spaces and with between the building department and some things that have been turned over to the city, the focus in there, he gave us that same speech. He said, you know what, guys, we're going to take this corridor and we're going to turn this into, it's stable, but we're going to turn it into something great, including the artwork. I just am so excited. We're about a month and a half off, possibly. I hate to time it right now, but artwork coming to the intersection of Columbus Drive, Chicago Avenue and Indianapolis Boulevard.
What type of artwork is coming?
Well, I'm going to hold that for the next show.
Oh, okay.
But trust me, we have been in several meetings with a creative team, and we have some guys that just do a stand-up fabrication and sculptures. That we're going to have size, we're going to have beauty, we're going to have lighting, and it's really going to give you the wow factor when you come into this corridor and say, hey, you've hit our second downtown in Chicago and Indianapolis, and this is what I love my city really means. And again, I'll just give the mayor credit. He has been able to balance the budget and give money for all areas.
Well, not only balance your budget, but you actually have a surplus where other communities are actually struggling.
Correct.
I'm telling you, it's like a scramble because the entire team is so aggressive on trying to get projects. And we'll go in the room and I'll tell Marino, hey, Marino, I need $100,000 for this. And we'll be grabbing money here and there trying to make things happen. But it's really a good environment.
Well, the beautification is definitely there from the roundabout. When you first come into Columbus Drive, the cleanliness of the city is evident. And I know with Washington Park and the tree sculptures, all the different things that are taking place, they're definitely built around beautifying the community.
Well, if you like the roundabout now, the mayor and I, we were standing out and he says, Milton, we need more over here at this roundabout. We need something that says wow factor. So give me about a month and a half.
And there's going to be more.
There's going to be more. If you like.
And you grew up right over there by the roundabout.
Yes, indeed. And everyone is just so happy in the area. I mean, of the cleanliness, the privacy wall that has gone along. Now our main thoroughfare coming into the city is absolutely beautiful. And again, I just give Mayor Copeland credit because he's not stopping. He doesn't. I don't know when he sleeps. Yeah,
well, I do want to mention, how Milton was talking about Chicago Avenue corridor. We are getting ready to break ground on a gateway signage on Chicago Avenue coming in from the Hammond side.
Okay.
So it's a nice monumental sign that says "Welcome to East Chicago," kind of adding a little bit of flair, just like what we did in Columbus Drive. So, East Chicago side of East Chicago.
So basically, it'll be on the corner where Bishop Knoll is and the
pretty much where the old sign is now. We're gonna update it, improve it. We have been in talks with Post 369, and to kind of coordinate that. And then there's some signs that are going on over there by Ameristar Casino to guide people where the lakefront and the marina and the casino is. And then hopefully there's another one that's going to go on Indianapolis Boulevard by McShane where the golf course is. And so these are all strategic entry points into the city that we want to say, welcome to East Chicago. You're in here, and we want to make that splash. And so coming soon. So I'm hoping March 1st is actually when we're going to be seeing that monument sign go up.
Most definitely. And we can't just say golf course because now we have to say ice skating ring as well.
Yes, that's been very, very exciting. And our park director, her name is Myra Acosta, and she just is so creative with the ideas and things. And even if you don't believe, she will make you a believer. Because what she brings to the table, she really has the passion about it. And when we heard it the first time, it was like, well... And she says, no, I'm telling you. And it has been absolutely fantastic. I mean, everyone is just loving it. We had the
kids are home from school today, so maybe they'll get out and ice skate
good luck
if it's not too cold.
And it is open. It's open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I guess it's perfect if they do.
Perfect day
And
to
you can
skate.
rent if you don't have skates. Do not let that hold you back. You can rent skates at the location. So just park is right there. It's very close parking. Come on, right to MacArthur Golf Course, and you can have fun with the family. Very nice.
Now, I want to ask you about a part of East Chicago that's been in the news a lot, and most recently concerning the West Calumet area. I know the mayor has said and still says that he wants that area remediated to residential status. However, there's talk that some businesses may be interested in moving there. Are you at liberty to talk about any of that?
Well, I think at Liberty in the aspect of is that conversations are moving forward. Different ideas come up. You know, it's still a very tough situation. The first and foremost thing is still the safety of the residents that are there, the cleanliness of the land, and even that needs to go to a full satisfaction level. I mean, we deserve no less than anywhere else. The mayor has been very, very diligent in tackling the problem, but yes, it will not sit where it is. Where the final end game is, I don't know. I don't have that answer.
And ultimately, I do want to mention, I mean, the administration is it's putting the pressure. You know, we want this to be residential standard because then that opens up the opportunity to make sure to do anything on that property versus what the EPA may or may want. And so our hands are tied ultimately, you know, what is going to happen in terms of the cleanup. But we hope that they do listen to the mayor's request, get it clean to that standpoint. Like Milton said, there has been people coming in and out, kind of, you know, speculating, figuring what's going to be built there. Our priority right now is to get the land clean. Once we get the land clean, then we can start talking about what that development looks like because we'll know what standard it was cleaned for. What I do want to mention, though, is the mayor is committed to that area, and specifically with the Moving Forward project that the state had given. It's Moving Forward 3.0.
Is that 14 units?
It's about $8 million that the city received, and that's the 28 unit that's going in the harbor. But the mayor worked out a deal also to match about $700,000, which would be, you know, 1.4 million, that can go in to build infill development, model home type in the Calumet corridor. Specifically, the areas we're looking at is probably Alexander and McCook, because that's where the city owns the most land. And so that's coming soon too. So there is that priority to reestablish that neighborhood into a neighborhood the way it was. And so be looking forward to that. So that's not a place that the mayor has forgotten about. It's not a place that it's a place that we're expecting development to happen.
And again, from a paperwork perspective, everyone has agreed to this. This is a done deal. There is going to be this element coming very shortly in this area.
Now, how has the Nicosia building? How has that been? What has been done to provide housing for the seniors that were in the building?
Currently, obviously they're still there, but the new residential, I think it's Lakeside Manor, that's going to be on Main Street, the 208 unit. That is going to be the replacement for Nicosia.
So everyone
building.
will be moving into the harbor then, basically.
They're given the option. So there are some infill, I think, development that housing has in that other corridor, but they are given the option to opt out. I'm not the housing director, so I don't know what that stats is in terms of how many people are looking to move to the harbor. But there's more than enough space for any of those plus.
Everyone will be accommodated.
So then that will be other property available
priority
for redevelopment as well eventually.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the motto is, you know, let's build one and then, you know, go to the next block.
So how has the government shutdown affected your work with the EPA and other agencies that are federal that might be working with the city of East Chicago right now?
Well, my department actually deals a little bit more with those items, grants, things like that. And so there has been some delays and or non-conversations right now because the people are furloughed. Specifically, you know, we're looking for, there's a grant that I was going to apply for infrastructure, and I can't even speak to the gentleman that was handling that because the government shut down. current grants that have any federal funding, or EPA is in conjunction with, everyone's gone MIA, right? And so there's a very limited amount of people you can speak to. And really, when it comes down to, they're just like, well, look, until this government shutdown is over with, I don't have any information for you. So we're just kind of, the good thing is, again, the city is not run by this money, right? And so the city has its own money, and so that doesn't affect how we develop things or do things. But when it comes to these partnerships, well, that is affected.
Right. The delivery of city services is not really impacted.
Of course. And we're going to wrap it up at this point. Any final things you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
I do. If you're going to want to start a business with the City of East Chicago, or whether you want to put a sign up in your existing business, things like that, please call my office. It's always important to know, what you can and can't do in your piece of property. Or if you're looking to, you see the signs up for development, it is 219-391-8205, and ask for Marino Solorio. I'm the planning director there, and I will gladly guide your thoughts, and we can go from there in terms of what business you can bring to the city.
Well, Marino and Milton, we want to thank you again for coming on the City of East Chicago show. We want to again send birthday wishes out to your mother, Maxine Reed. And we want you to stay tuned for Veterans Views. Coming up next, our award-winning show here on WJOB, AM 1230. You've been watching the City of East Chicago show.
Hey, it's Gino.